All these treasures of the Mughal Empire were the legacy of one remarkable man, a poet, a killer, a wild nomad who was not from India at all. His name was Babur. Babur's life began in 1483 in Fergana, a small kingdom in the highlands of Central Asia. Fergana was one square of a blood-stained checkerboard of competing dynasties, each struggling to expand its little empire. But a little empire wasn't what Babur had in mind. Babur's dynasty was part Turk and part Mongol. Mughals, as the Persians called them. Not far to the south lay the vast teeming land of Hindustan, India. He had heard many stories of its wealth. He realized it was now within his grasp.
From the time I took Kabul, I set my heart on Hindustan.
One of the largest and most powerful of these was Hindustan, controlled by the Sultanate of Delhi. Babur knew he stood no chance of directly confronting the armies of Hindustan. But having taken Kabul, he lost no time in making an exploratory raid into the plains of northern India, just to see. With a small army, he moved south in 1505. He was amazed by what he found.
I had never experienced such heat or anything like Hindustan before. Different plants, different trees, different animals and birds, different tribes and people, different manners and customs. It was astonishing, truly astonishing.
India exceeded his wildest expectations. He discovered beautifully crafted textiles, refined sugar, perfumes, and spices. Here indeed was a rich land. Babur bided his time, watching and waiting for his opportunity in India. Finally, in 1526, it arrived. The Sultanate of Delhi was overtaken by internal strife. Babur realized his moment had come. It would be now or never. Babur marched into northern India with 12,000 men. The Sultan of Delhi marched to meet him with 100,000 men and 1,000 armored elephants. The Indians, including their leader, were massacred as they ran. Babur had just pulled off an astonishing military feat. Finally, Hindustan was his. With Hindustan in his grasp, one of the first things Babur did was to send Hindustani dancing girls to entertain his wives in their harem in Kabul. It was a gracious gesture. His wives, covered and restrained, their faces painted stiffly white in the Central Asian style, must have been astonished. Out of meetings like this, of the stark world of Central Asian Islam, with the lush anarchy of India, would arise the glories of the Mughal style. As Babur took stock of his new possession, even he, well versed in plunder, was stunned. The astonishing treasuries of Hindustan contained the Koh-i-Noor diamond. Its name, he learned, meant mountain of light. He was told it was worth enough to feed the entire world for 2.5 days.
The Taj Mahal, symbol of India, architectural jewel, monument to a grand passion. The Taj Mahal was built in the 17th century by Shah Jahan.
Rising from the floodplain of the Mekong River in central Cambodia is one of the most spectacular temples in the world. This is Angkor Wat. Once a Hindu temple, now a stunning monument to Cambodia's golden age. Angkor means city, and Wat is a temple or pagoda. And it is massive, spanning an area that could cover the flight decks of more than 100 aircraft carriers.
Partly because its Mughal architects used some remarkable optical tricks. The first view of the monument is framed by the main gate. The great Mughals' engineers dig deep wells to below the water table. Then they fill them up with rocks and mortar. On this base, the master builders erect stone columns, linked together by massive arches. The result? A solid mountain of stone to support the foundation slab of the building, protecting the Taj from the currents of the Yamuna River forever.
A temple twice the height of the Tower of London. It's one of the most amazing engineering projects in the world. Not just for its size, but for what it's built upon. Water. Because Angkor Wat is floating on a swamp, supported by a foundation of subterranean water.
And the interior of the mausoleum itself is modeled after the 8 paradises of the Quran.
They dip cords in colored powder. With these, they lay down mandalas. The mandala patterns represent heaven, symbolically binding the gods to the site and ensuring their blessings on the temple.
itself is modeled after the 8 paradises of the Quran. The mandala patterns represent heaven. The Taj Mahal conceals a final mystery. The coffin seen in the mausoleum is only a cenotaph, an empty monument. Mumtaz Mahal lies in a secret marble chamber below. There she rests, undisturbed.
Over this location, Suryavarman's engineers will build a shaft leading through the burial chamber. To the sacred central chamber above. And the temple mountain is built around the shaft. Created from terraces stacked on top of one another, like 3 giant sandboxes, the temple mountain is a massive project.
The Taj Mahal is the architectural embodiment of this life and of the next, according to Islamic belief.
The Hindu conception of heaven was Mount Meru, and Mount Meru occupied a mythical place somewhere north of the Himalayas. And there were 5 mountain peaks where the gods lived. Here you had to reconstruct that.
So, at the center is an enormous temple mound, topped by 5 towers soaring 65 meters above the floodplain. This is known as the Temple Mountain.
The Taj Mahal is the architectural embodiment of this life and of the next, according to Islamic belief.
When the king became king, the first thing in mind that he had was when he died he had to go to heaven. And so here they had to reconstruct, literally, heaven on earth. And so here they had to reconstruct, literally, heaven on earth. And so here they had to reconstruct, literally, heaven on earth.
Art historian Ebba Koch was able to study the Taj before the restrictions came into force. She is the international expert on the building and its history. She has also decoded the religious symbolism of the monument.
Unlike the Romans, the Indians devised a system that could cope with vast numbers. They developed a different symbol for every number from 1 to 9. 1, 2, 3. Or if you do them quickly, you get Arabic numerals.
नहीं है, अरबी नहीं है, ये हमारा हिंदुस्तानियों का बनाया हुआ है. हम लोग हिंदुस्तानी इसे 2000 पहले से प्रयोग कर रहे हैं.
He's right, you know. The numbers we use today are called Arabic, but in fact they began life here in India as early as 500 BC. Together with the rest of the team, they enabled Indian science to storm ahead. Indian astronomers, for example, were centuries ahead of the Christian worlds. Indian scientists worked out that the Earth spins on its axis and that it moves round the sun, something that open Europe Copernicus wouldn't figure out until 1,000 years later. Indian scientists also calculated the diameter of the globe, and they were less than 1% off what it actually is.